Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Shahbaz Gill to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Shahbaz Gill's words. First of all, the countdown. There are 59 days remaining until Field Marshal Asim Munir's second retirement and the arrival of a new army chief in the country. Let's move on to today's important news, and the first story is related to Field Marshal's extension. I had told you earlier that these remaining days will not pass peacefully. Every day will be difficult for Pakistan, for its people, for the Field Marshal, and for the whole region. The past few days have indeed been tough for both the region and Pakistan's people. Today is difficult for the Field Marshal. I had warned you that each day would bring new drama. Today's drama is named after Aimal Wali Khan. Since the Field Marshal took power, today, for the first time, someone outside PTI has criticized him intensely. He was attacked in a way that the Field Marshal will remember for a long time. What is the story behind this? What's the hidden message? Let's discuss. But first, let's explain what exactly happened. Aimal Wali Khan has strongly criticized the army chief today. He said that the current army chief, in what capacity, is going around the world, carrying minerals and other resources in his suitcase. He asked, "What kind of joke is this?" He almost said bullshit, then stopped himself, but his anger was evident. He wanted to tell the Field Marshal a lot more harsh truths, but then held back. He said, "Is this an open joke with the nation, or what else is it?" The situation that has emerged feels no different from a brand store. Inside, the manager is happily sitting, while outside, the salesman is shouting, "Come to us, we have everything." Aimal Wali Khan described the army chief as the salesman standing outside, shouting about the minerals. This analogy suggests that Field Marshal Asim Munir is being compared to someone who is standing outside a shop, promoting what's inside. There could be two sides to this comparison, and we'll discuss both. But before that, listen to Aimal Wali Khan's full statement. In what capacity is our Chief of Army Staff touring the world and carrying rare earth minerals in a briefcase? What a joke! This image is no different from a store where the manager is happily sitting inside, while the salesman outside is shouting, "Come buy from us, we have everything." This is not democracy. This is dictatorship. Now, there are two perspectives to consider. One perspective is the extension matter. I will talk about that later. The main issue is related to the manipulation in politics and media. The Commonwealth released a report recently which had been held back for over a year. Today, on this very day, it was made public. Why? So the discussion would shift away from the real issues and focus on this report. This shift benefits them because if the conversation stays on minerals, resources and mines, the real problem about the relationship with President Trump won't come up. If we consider this in the context of the broader political dynamics, Aimal Wali Khan's statement becomes part of a bigger picture. But it's also tied to the personal relationship Field Marshal had with President Trump. For context, Trump recently revealed that the Pakistani army chief and prime minister had been with him from the start of his plans and supported him completely. This confirms what Aimal Wali Khan said earlier, that these leaders have become involved in policies not in favor of the nation. Aimal Wali Khan's statement should be understood in this larger context. However, it cannot be dismissed as an isolated attack on the army chief. In fact, this entire conversation is about the manipulation of the Pakistani people, especially over resources like minerals. When Aimal Wali Khan speaks of selling out resources, it's a direct attack on the way the government, and specifically the military leadership, has been operating. It's about prioritizing personal or political gain over national interests. And yes, this statement does relate to the ongoing discussion about Field Marshal's extension. Now, let's move on to another aspect of the matter. There's a lot of money being spent on media campaigns. Reports suggest that around 50 billion rupees have been spent on advertising. Recently, Shahbaz Sharif gave a speech at the United Nations, which was viewed by almost 100,000 people. In comparison, Imran Khan's speech at the UN was watched by around 7 million people. The goal of these media campaigns is clear: to try and boost Shahbaz Sharif's image, especially in comparison to Imran Khan. So they are investing a lot in boosting his visibility. But there are still many challenges. Even though there's been massive media backing, Shahbaz Sharif hasn't been able to fully engage with the audience or make the desired impact. In the end, despite all the resources, ads and attention directed towards Shahbaz Sharif, the fact remains that he is not able to match the presence or performance of Imran Khan, who is seen as a more charismatic and influential leader. It's clear that the media campaigns are just one part of a larger political struggle, and these things won't guarantee success in the long term. Now, let's move forward. President Trump gave a speech in the presence of all the generals and commanders he had called. In his speech, he highlighted that our generals are a gift from Allah to the nation. If you say anything against them, you will be declared a traitor to the country. What was being discussed there? Firstly, President Trump was addressing the journalists. He informed them that he was going to speak with the generals, and any general who did not meet his standards would be dismissed. He said, "Any general I don't like will be removed." Then, when he met with the generals, he made the same statement in front of them. He said, "If anyone doesn't like what I say, they should leave the room. But remember, along with your rank, your service will also be dismissed." He made this statement live, directly addressing the generals. These statements lasted only 10 to 15 seconds. Listen to them. You heard that, right? Now, President Trump acted like this with his generals. His defense minister took it even further. He said, "We don't want fat generals with big bellies. We don't need fat generals." He mentioned that they wanted men with a manly physique, with moustaches, big beards, and long hair. He specifically mentioned that they didn't want long hair. They want fit and lean generals. Now, Pakistan's situation is different. I'm not sure whether they held a Corps Commanders Conference recently, but there are some photos floating around where certain individuals who are slightly overweight like me are being criticized. But that criticism is not related to us. It's for their generals. Please don't take everything too seriously here. Now, coming to Kashmir, there are major developments there. One of the entry points into Kashmir, Kohala, which connects Azad Kashmir and the rest of Pakistan, has been closed. They have placed large stones to block the road that leads to Pakistan. The Kashmiris are also providing security at that point. In addition, Dudiyal, one of the wealthiest commercial areas in Kashmir, has been closed for over 48 hours, and the Kashmiris have announced that it will remain shut. They have decided not to reopen it. So for over 48 hours, shops and roads have been closed. The Kashmiris have also decided that they are heading towards Muzaffarabad, as it is the capital of Azad Kashmir, where all the governmental activities, including assembly and court proceedings, are taking place. They are heading there because of the corruption that exists, just like it is in the rest of the region. The people from Kotli, Mirpur and other towns have decided to go to Muzaffarabad. Now, this situation is escalating. Furthermore, I had mentioned Brigadier Fick, who was in Lahore, became a colonel, then a brigadier, and eventually went to Azad Kashmir. He used the same methods there that he used in Lahore. However, the Kashmiris are taking this matter more seriously than the people of Punjab. They have told the Indian forces that they are prepared. They are not afraid anymore. They have even arrested the local police, which was sent by Islamabad. Watch this video. The police, which had come from Islamabad, have arrested several of the local forces. Many of them have been forced to sign confessions, and they were made to apologize. The reason for this was that the local police refused to fire on their own citizens. They refused to beat their citizens with sticks. They said, "We won't do this. We won't fire on our own people." Long live those policemen who stood by their citizens. This is the type of police force we need, one that doesn't harm its own people. The Supreme Court of Pakistan has already ruled in cases like the Anita Tarab case and the Air Marshal Asghar Khan case that no government institution should obey illegal orders. These are the two rulings of the Supreme Court. I had mentioned these rulings earlier when some people were trying to frame charges of treason and rebellion against me, Arshad, Sharif, and several other respected journalists from ARY. Even Ahmad Yusuf, the current president of ARY, was arrested from his home. The Supreme Court had ruled twice on this matter, and I had mentioned these rulings on television. I recall, back then, the situation was such that I was left alone. I felt like an outsider in my own country. While Imran Khan was supporting me, no one else was. Even people who knew me from my own party didn't support me. I was isolated. But let me not go into those details again, because it brings back bad memories. I just want to make it clear that I was explaining the situation and what statements were made back then. Today, we are again discussing the importance of the Constitution. Back in November, when people were shot, everyone had to accept that enough was enough. Our forces, whether the army, police, or any institution, must operate within the bounds of the law. When I said this, it was after two rulings from the Supreme Court. I knew that I would be isolated, and I was right. But I still stood my ground. The circumstances were so difficult that I felt like I was speaking out of turn, and no one wanted to stand with me. Even Imran Khan had to face legal cases for his support of me. The situation was tough, but let's continue with the current news. The central leader of the Jammu and Kashmir Action Committee, Shaukat Nawaz Mir, stated that they will now focus on discussing institutions, not the government. They are directing their comments toward the army. They were not interested in going down this path, but they were forced to, as they were subjected to both verbal abuse and gunfire. Now they are calling for international organizations to intervene. He also mentioned that if people in Azad Kashmir begin asking for international intervention, then what will India say? The whole issue of oppression in occupied Kashmir is now happening in Azad Kashmir as well. What direction is the country headed in? What do they want to achieve with this? Indonesia has decided to send 20,000 soldiers to Palestine. It's not for fighting directly, but as part of President Trump's program. Ishaq Dar has also said that Pakistan might send troops as well. Habib Akram has given an excellent analysis on this matter. He pointed out that the responsibility of disarming the Palestinian Hamas forces and others with weapons will now fall on Muslim countries. The conflict has been ongoing for a long time, and Israel has failed to disarm these groups. Now, a new force, the International Stabilization Force, or ISF, will be created, and the Muslim forces will take responsibility for disarming the Palestinian groups. Maliha Lodhi, former ambassador to the United States, also stated that the situation in Palestine has become a colonial project, similar to the Iraq invasion. She criticized the notion that Muslim countries should take responsibility for disarming Hamas and others, and she emphasized that this is a form of colonialism. Now, President Trump has given Hamas 4 days to disarm or face consequences that the world will never forget. He has asked them to either reach a peace agreement or disarm. We will see what happens next. Additionally, Field Marshal Asif Munir, who praised President Trump for stopping the war between India and Pakistan, said that if President Trump had not intervened, Pakistan and India would have fallen back into the dark ages, where people would be living with stones. President Trump appreciated his words, saying he could not express how good it made him feel. Finally, I'd like to mention that a Pakistani delegation recently visited Israel. Some people downplayed it, saying it was no big deal because such visits have happened before. But now they are blaming Imran Khan for these actions. So the use of assets is not new. It has been done before, and now it is happening again. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, 2 provincial ministers, Akibullah and Faisal Tarakai, have either resigned or were asked to resign. News from the region continues to develop. May Allah protect you all. Long live Pakistan. That wraps up our translation of Shahbaz Gill's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.